welcome to the screencast. We're going to cover the microscope, and if we have time, I'll walk you through PowerPoint I put together for the organelles. If not, I'll just send that out to everybody. I'm going to try and keep this under 15 minutes because 15 minutes is free. And I hope the audio levels are okay. This is new, easy, free-to-use software, but they're not letting me adjust the audio levels like they used to. So what are we doing today? We're going to go over the parts of the microscope as it says here. And then we're going to define total magnification and working distance. We are not going to worry about resolving power so much, so forget that. And I'm going to try and annotate with my mouse. I had a little drawing pad and it doesn't seem to want to work anymore. Then we are going to understand the relationship between total magnification, working distance, field size, and depth of field. So it's going to be as total magnification increases, what happens to working distance? As total magnification increases, what happens to field size? And then depth of field. And we're going to do these one at a time, and they're not going to all make sense until we see some visuals on it. And I have done my best to try and recreate the visuals. Whoops, I got to get out of drawing. There we go. So again, real quick, these are the things you need to be able to identify, or the parts, on this microscope. And then bear in mind that these are the terms that are going to be on your Word bank next week. So if any of these deviate from this picture from the manufacturer, defer to these. I don't care what you write if it's on the lab exam, as long as it's correct, but these are the terms that are going to be in your Word bank. And then make sure you know these functions as well. And then as long as we're talking about all of that, where did we go? This here, familiarize yourself with this list of instructions for putting the scope away. The important things are going to be, wow, we need to rewrite this. But, yeah, familiarize yourself with that. What does it say? Doesn't matter. I can't fix it now. It's not what I want it to be because I didn't write it. All right, so first thing, I'll show you working distance, and then we'll fill in some of the parts of this table. So this is working distance. It is the distance between the top of your slide and the bottom of your lens. This is the amount of movement you have before the lens crashes into the slide and bad things happen. So it's, again, this little distance here. And we want to measure it because we're going to see that it changes with magnification. So when we increase our magnification, we need to be more careful. I'm going to try and fill this stuff in. So total magnification. We're going to do this quickly. There we go. The way to calculate total magnification is to take the ocular magnification. In this case here, it's 4x. And then you multiply it. I'm totally messing everything up. The objective magnification multiplied by the ocular magnification. Because the objective is going to magnify your specimen a certain number of times, and then that magnified image is going to be magnified 10 times more by the oculars. So the way to calculate total magnification is always going to be the magnification of your objective times 10. So 4 times 10 would be 40. I had to do a quick edit there because I messed up. 4 times 10, 40. That is now gone. 10 times 10, 100. So that's the total magnification with your 10x objective. And then, there it is, 40 times 10, 400. Oh, hey, it just went over there for no good reason. That's cute. So that's how you calculate total magnification. Then we're going to go and calculate working distance. I'm going to give up on trying to type things in because it's really kind of clunky. So again, working distance is the amount of room you have before you crash into the lens. If you were, what does it usually turn out to? If you were to measure it yourself, you would find that your working distance with your scanning lens is somewhere around 2 centimeters. Not a lot of room, but room. And then with your 10x objective, if your slide image is in place, your working distance is about 1 centimeter. And then your 40x objective, because this objective is so long, you've got about 0.1, whoops, it should be 0.1 centimeters, or about 1 millimeter. So we go up here, right? As total magnification increases when you're in focus, the lens gets increasingly close to the slide, so you need to be careful. Remembering that the scopes are parfocal, so if you're in focus at 10, you can increase the magnification to 40, and that is a safe thing to do. Once there, you just want to use your fine focus knob and be careful when you're focusing. So then, really quick, the letter E. And these are not going to be fancy E's, right? At low magnification, it might look like that. Or I should say with your scanning objective. With your 10x objective, it might look like that. And then with your 40x objective, you might only just see, if I could color this in solid, the crossbar here. So you're just zooming in on the E. So what you're supposed to notice, because we're not going to measure field diameter, is, sorry, exit drawing, 7 minutes, check my time. Whoops. So this here, right? This is what the threads, which we're going to talk about later, would look like with your 4x objective. So you can see all 3 threads here, and you can see a lot of the background. So your field of view or your field diameter is big because you can see a lot. When you increase the magnification, right, the image gets bigger, but now all of this up here that you used to be able to see, you can't see anymore. So your field of view has gotten smaller. And then you go up to 40, and now the threads look huge, but you can hardly see anything in terms of the amount of the threads you can actually see. So as you're increasing your total magnification, your field of view is getting smaller, or as I say, it goes down. So magnification goes up, working distance goes down, magnification goes up, field size goes down. You'll notice also the intersection is in the middle here. You increase magnification, the intersection is still in the middle. You increase magnification, the intersection is still in the middle. So again, this is why every time you use the scope, you're usually going to start with 4x, get it centered, get it focused, increase the magnification, get it centered, get it focused, and then if you need more detail, increase the magnification. Remembering that you're just fine-tuning the focus when you go from 4 to 10 and then 10 to 40. So let's get back to here. This part down here, don't worry about. I've already pointed out the things that you need to know. So then, actually, we could have just stayed on the threads. The next thing that they want you to notice is, where did it go? I went right past it. Right here is the thing on the threads. And don't worry about which thread is on top of which other thread because it doesn't matter. So what I want you to notice, and I think I'll send this as an attachment with this link here if you want to watch the video that I stole screen grabs from. We're talking about depth of field. Depth of field is the ability to focus through depth. So here on your left is this cute little puppy with a picture taken. The camera's set up like a microscope can be set up with a deep depth of field. Doggy is in focus, background is in focus. Shallow depth of field is like a portrait. Foreground, cute little puppy, is in focus. Background is blurry. So this is deep depth of field, this is shallow depth of field, or bigger, smaller depth of field. Low magnification, all three threads, which are stacked one on top of another, so there's depth here. You can get all three of them in focus at the same time. Switch it up to your 10x objective. Here it looks like maybe the yellow one on top is in really good focus. The blue one is starting to look a little blurry, and the red one is definitely blurry. So now your depth of field is only deep enough to get 2 threads in focus. Then you jump up to your 40x objective. Here's your yellow. Blue's a blur, red's a blur. So now you can only get 1 thread in focus. And if you actually did this in the lab and played around with it, you would see that you can't even get the full thickness of a single thread in focus. So this is going to be important later on because you're going to be looking at tissue samples, and they are slices of tissue. They have thickness to them. They're 3-dimensional. They are not very thick, so they look like pieces of paper on the slide. But because with your 40x objective, your depth of field is so shallow, you're not going to be able to get the top of the slice in focus and the bottom of the slice in focus at the same time. And you're just going to have to practice moving up and down through the specimen. And your brain will get better at sort of assembling the sections, sort of the visual sections that you're taking as you move through different focal planes. Your brain will get better at taking all of that information and assembling it into a 3D idea in your mind. If not a 3D image, you will get 3-dimensional information. So again, as magnification goes up, your depth of field goes down. You want to understand these 3 relationships. I will ask you questions about them. So I think that's everything. You are scroll. Right? You're identifying the parts of everything on the microscope. You are calculating total magnification, and you are knowing the relationship between total magnification and these 3 things: working distance, field size, and depth of field. And it's easy because it's always the same. Magnification goes up, the other thing goes down. All of those things, by the way, make it more difficult for you to find your specimen and focus your specimen. So whenever you run into trouble, either finding something or focusing on it, always reduce your magnification because it's going to be easier to work with a bigger field of view and a deeper depth of field. That's it. Stay tuned for another video about... I'm not going to say that because I might use this video in a different context.